of people working from home may feel like over the last 12 months they've lost a lot of their maybe interpersonal and their skills that they thought they had before.
And it's about how can you lessen distractions, what are the triggers for you, can you lessen the triggers, how can you remain focused, is there something that's going on that makes you distracted? If it is, can you get rid of it?
The trick isn't about learning how to keep every plate spinning, it's about knowing which plates to drop. This is my current tray of said paperwork that's been building up pretty much.
4:30 start is outrageous.
I would concur with my learned colleague.
Do you remember when we did that 6 a.m. podcast?
Yeah.
5 a.m.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah. InspirationNation, hello, Lee Kemp here for another week on the podcast. As always, with my very good friends, Jose Noya and Ryan Boniface. How are we doing, guys?
Yeah, not too bad, thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it. We, of course, you're too slow, Joe. You're too slow. You've missed your chance to say how good you're doing. We're, of course, out every Tuesday on all podcast platforms. Catch us on YouTube. Just search Jose Noya InspirationNation. And, of course, we are live on Instagram, 8:30 or there or thereabouts, every single Tuesday, GMT. Social media as well. I'm falling behind what to say. Check us out social media at ListenToIN, ListenToIN, and Joe, of course, just search Jose Noya InspirationNation in any search engine and he will be all over the place. Right, so Joe, I'm not coming to you. We're mixing it up now. Joe suggested in our little Inspiration Nation group chat in the week that we should start rotating the topics after the rousing success that was my topic a few weeks ago. So, Ryan Boniface, what are we talking about today?
I like how Lee claims success for like Joe's idea here.
But if I'm going to run the show, I'm going to take credit for everything.
Yeah,
Joe's idea
right.
becomes my success, you see.
Sure. We're going to talk about this week how you keep things on track when they keep getting derailed, unrailed, however you want to talk about it.
That's weird. Derailed and derailed, they both sound right to me, but they can't both be right.
I think it's probably derailed.
Yeah.
So
derailed.
What I mean by this is people that work in, more than likely, I would say, a bit of a leadership position. This isn't exclusive to that, but I would say that a lot of people in leadership positions probably have this issue pretty regularly. Is you'll have a plan for your day, and you'll come into work or you'll log on from home or whatever you're doing. You'll start your day, and then by about 45 minutes to an hour in, it's upside down and back to front. Millions of things have happened. 4 people have phoned in sick. There's crashes on every road leading into the office and nobody can get in, and everything that you had planned is now unplanned. I think something that's a really good thing to consider is that these things will happen and there's nothing that you can do about them, obviously, but how do you keep, or how do you regain focus and realign your plan, if you like, when that happens? I personally don't like to make a to-do list or a plan until I've been at work for that half an hour to 45 minutes. I come in and do my day job kind of definites that will have to happen no matter what. That happen first thing, and they usually take the 20 minutes, half hour. I set up all the systems that I work on and stuff, and then I'll have a to-do list that I need to get done for that week, but then I'll pick some of the more prominent or important things from it at that point, and I'll start working through them. But I don't anymore like to go into my working day with a set list. When I walk in the door or first log on, I'm like, right, this is happening, that's that, because sod's law, if you like, it does generally get ruined when you start thinking that way. So I'm just curious as to how you guys keep or realign that focus or maintain your composure, if you like, in those scenarios.
I think this is a really good topic, this. I think it's an imperfect art is what I'd say. And there's a number of things, concept, tools, coping mechanisms I use for this sort of thing that's built into my pattern. But I think a number of things can affect it as well. So like if personally, if I'm feeling under more pressure, it's easier to let those things overwhelm you than when I'm not. And there's Joe, you talk about this a lot about, when you talked about, and they always take your weather with you, and I think your ability to deal with those situations can drastically change based on how much, back to that analogy, back in the archive, you let the doomy day get into your mind. And I think it's worked a really good example for it, Ryan, I think, because, that's where we all spend most of our day. But it happens in life as well. For Joe, I'm going to throw in an example for you before I carry on, which is cutting the grass. It needs doing, but somehow something might. And I think that's one way it happens. And there's examples of that for myself as well, where there's something I know I need to do, but I don't really want to do it. So subconsciously, I always find something else to go in the way of it. And I think that's a trap people can fall into. And then what happens, and I do this personal life and work as well, is I will put off what is a relatively easy job. And then I'll put it off again, and then I'll put it off again. And by like the third or fourth time, the gravity of that job has got bigger in my head, to the point it feels like it's something really big because I keep putting it off, and I almost have to just rip the plaster off and get it done and realize it's not so bad. And I have to tell myself that. And I think that happens when you want to avoid stuff. But it is easy, like you said, Ryan, to have a list of what you want to do, and then things come in, throw you off, time gets on top of you. And for I suppose my opening view on my coping with it and advice is it's just staying disciplined, just remembering, as Joe likes to say, we're not good multitaskers. I agree with that concept completely. Up until doing this podcast, I'd have said I was brilliant at it, but you're absolutely not. And it's just, and I have to do this for myself. I just have to keep focused on, right, what's next? Do it, move on to the next thing. What's next? Because I'm a nightmare otherwise, that I will start 15 things, and then by the end of the day, I've not finished a single one of them. So it's about that ordering. And sometimes something urgent comes in, you have to pick it up. And then it's like, right, where was I? Back to what that thing is. And just keeping a discipline of moving through things as much as I can in a logical order, so that the static list, if you like, whilst things will slow down your progress on it, it's slowing down the progress rather than just chucking it out the door, which I think is a concept I can control in my head.
Yeah.
So I think it's an opening gambit. That's what, on a good day, I try and do with all that sort of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I really like what you're saying about this, and it reminded me of when you're talking, both of you actually, around Stephen Covey's Time Matrix. You heard of that one? About the urgent.
Walk us through, Joe.
So it's the urgent important.
Yes,
yeah.
Sorry. I won't cut you off. I saw a post on it last week, actually. Yeah, Did you share something about it?
It's always been in mind. Since I've read, when I shared the circulars of influence or control, I say this is another tool in that book that I, even though I know about the tool, I should use it more.
I honestly, no word of a lie, I saw this on, I think probably LinkedIn or maybe Instagram in the last week. And the same as you, I said, you need to remember this. And this is where it says, if it's urgent and important, do it now. And you've got your boxes down to the bottom one, which is if it's not important, it's not urgent, just don't do it. And that, like you said, your prioritization of the day. So you actually focused on what's important rather than what happens to be shouting the loudest. I think we might have at some point, no?
I feel like I spoke about this with somebody in the last week or two.
How funny is that? No, I don't think we have between us. That must have come up something for you. But you're right, Joe. Sorry, I cut in on your example there.
Well, no, you're right, because there's stuff that's not urgent, not important, right? But you do it because it might tick a box. It might make you that psychological buzz. And so actually, so I'm on this project that's, it's quite intensive. So I have to be really mindful. And I know we've spoken offline about, managing time, how we should do it. We're not managing time, really managing tasks. You can't manage time because time just ticks, whatever, right? And so for me, it's like trying to use that sort of thing about, it's not urgent, not important, you don't need to do that. It's that urgent, important stuff, which is really important. Then you've also got important but not urgent stuff. And that's like real development stuff, that's long game stuff. And then you've got urgent but not important. Then you think it's urgent, it's not really important. So those 4 quadrants, and which ones you put in. So usually a quick response to email is really not urgent, not important, but you do it because it gives you that psychological boost.
Yeah.
And so I'm really conscious about this. And even today, I could have worked longer. And I thought, no, what I'm going to do, I'm going to be efficient with my time. What I'm going to do, I'm going to look at my schedule tomorrow and look at the most important thing I need to be doing first thing tomorrow. And so what I did is I did that at the last thing tonight. I did the most important thing that's going to be my big thing tomorrow, my big oranges, I call them. And that would be the urgent, important thing. So I know I've got this meeting coming up tomorrow. I need to prepare for it. So I prepared for that. And the rest of the stuff I know just goes through the week. So then I can know that other stuff is important, but it's not urgent at that point. And it's shifting your way. And also what I did is made a list of around 5 or 6 things, not any more than 5 or 6, so I don't get overwhelmed. So it's just really being strategic around what's really important, what you need to get done, and then leaving the other stuff. And actually, they say only have 5 things and then carry them over and just add it to tomorrow's, but don't go any more than 5. It really has to be quite, you have to be quite disciplined with it. Another thing that came to mind was Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. And you were talking about procrastination. And what came to my mind, Lee, was Procrastination Nation. I like that. Thanks for humouring me, guys. And Brian, yeah, all right, whatever, Joe. But yeah, it's, thanks, guys. You do you know what? I love you guys because you do humour me. Anyway, Procrastination Nation. But we do that thing around, you know, I'll just put that off and we'll put it off and put it off and put it off. And then it becomes that big thing, like you say, Lee, where you don't need it. So it's just do that big thing first. Because the most successful people do the hardest things first. They just do them. They get them out of the way.
I'll give you an example on this. I've just thought of one where I'm doing it. So I've got a little tray that I put paperwork in as it comes in during the month. And then either the plan is I will, you know, if it's got personal details on it, I'll shred it. If it's just rubbish, it will go in the bin. And if I need to keep it, I'll stick it in my little filing box. And you know, we're in a largely paperless society now. So back where you used to get about 10 things each month through the door, I probably get 1 or 2. Let me just wheel over. This is more effective for those on YouTube than anywhere else.
Right. For everybody who's watched on Instagram, I just have to restart. I got booted out. I didn't realise it just got booted out. So sorry, guys.
This is my current tray of said paperwork that has been building up pretty much for the 2.5 years that I've lived in the house where I am.
Oh my Lord, that is some paperwork there.
So that is some Procrastination Nation for you there.
Oh, I love it.
So we all do, but actually, if I'm honest, it's under the table. I'll get to it someday. It's not urgent and it's not important, so I'm not too worried about it.
And that's really good because Jordan Peterson, do you guys know Jordan Peterson?
That name rings a bell.
Yeah, so he's a psychologist, real famous. I think he got known for something really famous, but he's really good. You're on Instagram, check him out. Anyway, he talks about, you know, when you do that paperwork, it's about facing the thing that you don't want to do. And he said there is research that said that even if you did the thing for just 5 minutes, I think Mel Robbins talks about it, if you do that thing you don't want to do for 5 minutes, you'll end up doing it for longer because you just had a go at it. Even for 30 seconds, you just have a go at it, just start it and say, I'm only going to get 30 seconds or a minute or 5 minutes, and then I'm going to stop. But when you start, you tend not to stop.
Yeah,
so that's
that's a good point. I've now putting that back, everything's falling all over the floor now and it's sending my OCD mental. So after we log off, I may have to do something about that. But you're right, there's little bits where we all do it in different ways. There's something else, and you made me think of it there, that someone taught me ages ago, which is really good. And where we talk about to-do lists and stuff like that, because it's important to be organised, have an order stuff and everything like that. And I do that sort of thing. I use my calendar a lot in work to block out time for doing things, and then quite often I have to roll it over and whatever else, because like Ryan says, stuff comes in. But something someone told me is rather than keeping to-do lists, is keeping a done list. Because it's very easy to have a job that's got a list that has 5 things on it. And by the end of the day, you might have ticked one off and you go, sugar, look, I've done one thing today. That was a rubbish day. Or you look at your done list and there's been another 8 or 9 urgent but not planned things that have jumped in that you've done. And I do that quite a lot, that I feel like, I'm not sure what I've done today. And then I run through my head everything that happened. And a lot of it from, you know, someone needs to speak to you, they need some advice on something, you know, people related things. And then you realize, actually, when you log the you know, what you've actually done as opposed to just what's still to do, it's one of those good, positive, affirming things in your head. I will say that doesn't mean I keep a done list every single day, but I do sometimes remind myself of that concept of, okay, well, look back on the day, what have you actually achieved? And most days, I'm pleased that there's quite a lot that pops into my head.
Is there an argument around that, and Ryan, you know, whether we should be allowing those things in our day and actually blocking that off?
I was going to say that the perfectionist in me would still be annoyed that I hadn't done my to-do list. But maybe that's
you need a shorter to-do list. Then.
Maybe that's just who I am, I guess. Maybe, yeah, I need a shorter to-do list because I need to do it quicker.
I think it depends on the context of what you're doing. Obviously, there'll be a range of different people listening to this and watching this, and I think it applies in certain situations. So, like with my role and what is Ryan's role at work, our primary focus is making sure other people have got the environment to do what they need to do in a leadership role. So, if every time someone had a question, it was like, right, you go to the bottom of the list, I don't think that would be very effective in getting done what needs to be done. I think there is a filtering out thing. So not everything that interrupts my day immediately goes to the top of the list or gets done in that day, but you have to understand, right, what does need my attention? What is important? And is it more important than this thing I'm doing now? And you have to balance that through. Similarly, to make a more personal thing on it, if you're at home, got the kids with you, kids falls over and grazes their knee, you don't put taking care of the kid to the bottom of the list because you're doing the washing up. You can break the washing up and then you take care of the kid and then you go back to the washing up again. If you're in a lot more, I'm trying to think of a good example, if you're in a more linear sort of job, I'll pick something like accountancy or something like that, and you've got a structured list and you're unlikely to get so interrupted. I don't know how that works. Then there's probably much better examples. There's probably more of an argument of bad time management if you're getting distracted and going here, there, and everywhere, where you're doing something that's more insular and your job is your task list. And I think what inside work, outside of work, I think it can vary by situation. Like I opened up with the grass example, I think there's a difference between procrastinating on something you don't want to do and genuinely reprioritizing when these things come in. Right back to Ryan's example at the start, if someone can't get into work because the road's closed, you can't say, I'll get back to you at 3:00. I've just got a couple of reports to do. You have to jump on that thing now. So I think there's a bit of, a pragmatic approach you have to take around what does and doesn't interrupt you.
I think you made a good point in the sense that Joe's doing the finger thing again, by the way.
Joe has something to say.
You make a good point in the sense that with your kid falling over and grazing their knee, all that screamed to me was if I was in the office, a lot of these urgent things I see, I would remember better and I would be able to calibrate my time better. But everything feels the same working from home. Like there is just this needs sorting now, and this can be pushed in a priority list for me. Whereas in the office, I feel like this has to be sorted now. This has to be sorted today. This can be sorted this week. I feel like these things, you have a more structured way of dealing with it in an office. For me, anyway. Other people working from home may have a different opinion to that, but that's what it screamed to me.
No, that's good. And that's, however, a lot of these things, like with the list and everything else, these are how these things sit in our head. And the same situation can be vastly different for us depending on our view on the reality. So I suppose part of, and again, for loads of people listening for this, working at home or a bit of a blend between the two or different working environments are going to be kind of the norm going forwards, or certainly in the short term with stuff. So I suppose if that is the case, Ryan, I suppose it goes back to your opening question on this, is what are the things that can be done to create that feeling and that, I guess for you, the remembering. And I don't know if that making a mental note becomes more important about being able to retrace the day so you can retrospectively see those events and what's thrown you off.
Yeah, maybe. I think I just think it comes, I don't know, I feel like it comes maybe with a bit of a bit more open world experience, which I think a lot of people working from home may feel like over the last 12 months, they've lost a lot of their maybe interpersonal and their skills that they thought they had before. And I don't think that's an unreasonable thing to assume for a lot of people, because where you don't have the interpersonal conversations or chats at the coffee machine or catching up at the canteen or whatever, I feel like I'm sure a lot of people feel like they wouldn't know where to start with working in an office
you're right.
again.
Skills and behaviours need to be practiced and need to be used. And if you've not done stuff like that for a year, you're going to be out of the habit. The people you're interacting with are going to be out of the habit. So I think you're absolutely right there.
Yeah. But yeah, you've definitely given me some good food for thought with it, for sure.
You know how you take like puppies to socialisation classes to make sure they can interact properly with other dogs? Do you think we need like some socialisation classes as we all head back out into the world?
It's called the pub.
It's training. No, but I like the thing is it's about the environment. I think you can shape your environment wherever you are, whether it's your office, whether you're here. And I think for me, I think it all comes down to discipline, because I know I was sort of chatting to you guys offline, but I think it's all around, having a discipline. Are you in discipline what you do? How can you set up your environment in your home to support what you want to do? Pick the most important things and go with that. It is more discipline. At home, you have got more distractions, and it's about how can you lessen distractions? What are the triggers for you? Can you lessen the triggers? How can you remain focused? Is there something that's going on that makes you distracted? If it is, can you get rid of it? So I think there's a lot of talk, a lot of things you can do with that. And people get distracted at the office. People get distracted at the office. It depends on, how, used to it. We're going back. Do we need to look at that? And as Lee and everybody said, I have regular Zoom meetings. I know they're not the same, but is that something, you think it's, do you have, I suppose you guys have regular Zoom meetings, right? I expect you have them every day, don't you?
I would say I spend 4 to 5 hours of 7 hours on the Zoom in one way or another with people.
But also, is it we've got Teams at our place? Is it Zoom or Teams?
It's a mix. Depends. So I've got them all on my phone, and then kind of whatever people's preferences. If it's me, I'll set it up by Zoom because I just find that easiest. But I do a bit of Zoom, a bit of Teams. Me and my boss speak on Facebook Messenger all the time because we find that the easiest one to use.
So multitude, right? So yes. So for me, I think it's, I think you're both right. I think it's going to be a blend of it all. So I think we need to set up our self-success. I think it's going to be more working from home, and it's going to be a blend. And I don't think it's going to go back to 100%, but I think people are given the option to go in or to, have a blend of working from home. I think the technology is there. People depend on what people's lives are like. Personally, I think it's a great thing that you can have that choice. But again, I think it's that discipline at home, creating that environment for yourself. And I know I found it a challenge, since I've taken on this project. It's been a challenge to really get that organisational mindset back. But it's getting there, and it's just that discipline, like you said, about the urgent, important things. It's to be done now, like Lee said, and having all those types of tasks, and actually being conscious about, is this something that I can let into my day, or is it something that can be, say a nice way that can be left for later on? But yeah, I think you guys got good points there, guys.
Someone once said to me, which has always stuck with me, is that when, the trick is that what you don't need to, It's good that I can speak so well for a podcast, isn't it? Right. The trick isn't about learning how to keep every plate spinning. It's about knowing which plates to drop. And I think that's where you're talking about the day. That's the first thing that stuck into my head when you said it. And I really think, because I think if you are, this is a big habit I have doing, is I'll be like, I'll just do a to-do list. Or at the end of the day, I'll be like, I can't be bothered to do this. I'll just do that tomorrow. And then suddenly I've got 8 things on the list to just do that are all quite quick. And suddenly actually next day it rolls. And I do overly ambitious to-do lists. And I think maybe, it being shorter or knowing what doesn't need to be done. Sometimes having that security to know that's the case, I find quite reassuring.
Yeah, I think those to-do lists are quite good because they keep me focused. That's what I need for, because otherwise I can get very, very, it's very, very like, instead of having the focus on very, very, it's like this.
Yeah, but I think that's why it's different things for different people, and finding what works for you and what keeps you in the good place.
If I didn't have a to-do list, I would spend my day aimlessly scrolling through my email list.
I've just got an image of you just wandering into a wall over and over just again, Ryan.
Floating in my room, sending random instant messages to people being like, are you all okay?
Oh, right. That's on the front of the video. That bit right there. I'm doing that. That's good. I love it. There's always a bit in the video, and I love that. I'm going to take that. But Nina's saying true prioritisation. So she's agreeing with us with the true prioritisation and that. We've got a couple of people joining us, which is always good. English with Parvane is great as well. So welcome to you.
Absolutely. I had a little observation for you on routine as well, because mine's changed up a little bit, and I thought it'd be good to mention that quickly in a sec when we're moving on. But before we do that, I just wanted to give a shout out to everyone. Head over to InspirationNation.org.uk. This website that started out just as a place for me and Joe to load up all the podcast back in the day when there was a me and a Joe, and then Ryan came on board and we started to grow everything we do. Head over there for everything Inspiration Nation. You can get the podcast, link to the YouTube site. There is the Inspiration Nation store. Just click the shop button and you can get hoodies, t-shirts, mugs, socks, face masks, everything you could possibly want. Lovingly being modelled at the moment. Joe's there in his Inspiration Nation hoodie. For those on YouTube, there is hoodie up on the wall behind us. We have the face masks here, which I'm going to put on and now sound muffled if I can put it on properly. Inspiration Nation mugs. If we do a mug shot for the camera.
Mine is in my cupboard now. Put it in the wash,
again,
and I haven't saved it.
Hey, Ryan, this is going to be a central thing for the next podcast. Where is Ryan's mug gone?
I'll bring
head
it
over there.
week.
Full details of the Inspiration Nation coaching service and great videos me and Joe put together about that. And if you hit the blog button at the top, you can head over to Joe's blog, his weekly newsletter, and you can sign up and subscribe there. So inspirationnation.org.uk, it is your one-stop shop for everything inspirational. I'll come up with a better tagline than that, but that's what we've got for the moment. Right. Yeah. So should I tell you my little routine bit, or should we round off the topic that we are talking about?
Talk. What you got?
So, and this might, I don't know, I changed this up, and it's funny how your routines can affect your mindset and stuff. So for me, and we talked about it in previous ones, get up, have a shower, wake up to the world, get ready for the work, make the bed, ready to go. And then working at home for the last year, other than probably the last month or so, I would still get up, I'd have that shower, I'd be ready to go, I'd sit down, I'm all ready to work. And I've flipped it now. And I now stink for the entire day, and I don't shower first thing because I'm not going out. I'm not going anywhere. So I'll get up. I still make the bed, but I've cut out that shower bit from the morning, and actually I go straight into the day. So I'm still up at the same time, but I'm going and working. And then when I log out, I'll then go and have a shower. And actually, it's a really good buffer between the work world and the non-work world. It just lets me decompress the day. And sometimes, your head's buzzing or something stressing you out or whatever it is. And by the time I'm done, that's all kind of dissipated now. And whereas I think we talked about on a previous podcast, the challenge that you don't kind of have that drive, walk, train journey, whatever it's home to decompress. And actually, I found giving myself that break is a really good way of, I've mixed up my routine in a bit of helping with working from home. And I imagine as we head back to, when me and Ryan we're going for a mix of home and office, is I'll probably have a routine for each day, depending how it goes. But I've found that a really good way just to kind of help me put in those boundaries and kind of work a bit better with the working from home world.
It's funny you say this, because I have the ability to work off of my computer that I've recorded all this from, but I also have a laptop that I can also work from. And maybe the last month up until last week, I would spend the first hour working from my laptop, and then I will migrate onto my desktop, get my two screens and go. Yeah. Laptop obviously being one screen. And I feel like I don't know if that made me more productive or less. I think the fact that I'm not sure means that maybe it wasn't such a good idea.
How does it make you feel, though?
That I have a slower start to the day. And that's probably not the best thing. Because there often aren't enough hours in the day for some of the stuff that I end up doing, especially when things can get derailed and stuff. So I think I'm not convinced it's the best thing to do now that you've said that. So I probably won't do it again.
I don't, just to throw into you there, and again, it's different things for different people. I'm the same. I'm much better in the morning than I am later in the day, and then my energy starts to dissipate. But some mornings now I will get up and log on and go. Other mornings I'll wake up. Bearing in mind work is down the stairs, and I might sit and read a bit of news and stuff on my phone and wake up a little bit and then go in. And I say not every day, but that break up in the routine sometimes helps me feel energized. So it's not, I don't think I'd say completely it's necessarily a bad thing, Ryan, as long as you're just getting that, you're getting a good start to the day, that by the time you're up and going, everything's running. And sometimes that might be a slower start. Sometimes it might be hitting the ground running.
Yeah. Definitely
this is
worth
the thing with
considering.
All of this. I mean, we're a year in and it's still kind of turning off those old mindsets or replicating things for the sake of replicating them and starting to change things around. And I still think, you know, it'll probably be a few years until we all really get into a comfort zone with that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But I know, Joe, you love a routine, and I thought I made quite a seismic shift in mine, so I thought it's quite a good and I hadn't really thought about it till we started talking today, but it's quite a beneficial thing.
Yeah, you know what, you guys, and I say the routine is so important. I mean, over the last couple of years, well, the last 3 years, I've got an absolute strict regime. It's very, very strict. I've now get up at 4:30. I got up 4:30 this morning, and it's a whole routine before I get to my work. But I find by the time I've got to my place of work, people are still not 100% functioning, but I'm already on it. So what Ryan was saying, when he said, I feel like I've got a slow start, the whole key about starting on the front foot is so important, to start on that front foot. So whatever makes you start on the front foot, do that, whether it's the shower, whether it's, you know, whether Ryan, if it's going straight to, you know, doing different things, whatever. It's really important you find that routine that works for you, that gets you on that. And the energy level that you hit that day is like momentum.
Yeah.
If you start off on a slow pace, then your day is going to be slow paced. It's going to be really difficult to pick up the pace. It's like when you see us football, I don't know if you go play football, but you know, if you played a football match, and I used to play football matches, you start off a bit slow and you can't seem to get the pace back. So it's most important to start with high energy. What gives you high energy in the morning? Do that. Whatever it will be, make the bed, whatever. You know me, I've got my cold showers that I do, and I still do them. So all that sort of stuff. And by the time I've got to my desk, I'm fully awake, fully. I am definitely now a morning person. I don't go to bed late, go to bed early, all that. So my routine always starts like tonight, to go to bed early, to get up early, to start the day. And so, yeah, that's mine. But that's over this lockdown. Well, I think mine actually started before the lockdown, but it's just evolved even more intensely over the lockdown.
The 4:30 start is outrageous.
I would concur with my learned colleague.
Do you remember when we did that 6 a.m. podcast?
Yeah, 5 a.m. 5 a.m.
Was it?
Ryan.
Oh,
yeah.
Never ever again.
Right,
especially on YouTube, give that a watch. The 5 a.m. Club. It's a brilliant podcast. Great start to the day.
Yeah, we should do that again. We should do that again.
No.
Ryan seems really up for this idea. Right, we are fast running out of time, guys. So, Ryan, this has been a brilliant subject, and I quite like, and I think about this as we mix up our subjects, that it's more like almost like a question more than a lesson, if you like. It's a good little slant on it. I enjoyed that very much. Is there anything else you wanted to mention or follow up on or wrap up with as far as this goes?
No, I think we've nailed it this week.
Jose, anything from you, sir?
No, I think it's I would just say, okay, I'm going to ask you for a learning point, as you said before we go. So my biggest takeaway from today, from this, what Ryan posed in the question, for me, it's routines. It's to make sure that routine is one of the big points for me. So I'm going to ask you guys, what's your biggest takeaway from the conversation before we finish off?
Mine, and it links to the urgent, not important box, and kind of Ryan's opening gambit on the things that can throw you off. So I think perspective is my one, is having that moment to assess and put perspective over whether something should or shouldn't be knocking your day off.
Okay. So why perspective is important then, right? Is that what you're saying? Okay. What about you, Ryan? You got anything? What's your biggest takeaway from the conversation?
That being derailed doesn't have to be the negative thing that it makes itself out to be. And sometimes it's about a done list rather than a to-do list.
Okay.
That's good. There's some good points there. With our final few minutes then, I will thank everybody for listening. Any podcast platform, we are there. Hit the subscribe button. YouTube, those joining us in Instagram, again, every single Tuesday, 8:30 GMT, about 3:30 in the afternoon Eastern time. Head over to InspirationNation.org.uk again for all the great services we offer there. And don't forget to check us out on social media at Listen to IN, Listen TOIN. And of course, you can subscribe to Joe's daily videos. Just search for Jose Noya, Inspiration Nation. And please, this has worked really well for us in the past and they're going up. So if you like what you're listening to, if you enjoy us, if you want to support the podcast, there are two things we ask you to do. Number one is hit the review button, give us 5 stars on whatever service you are listening or watching on. And secondly is tell a friend. if you like this, if you get value, if everyone could just get one more person to listen, that will really help grow our listener numbers as well. And we genuinely, hand on heart, really appreciate the support from everyone out there. I will get some elocution lessons for myself ahead of next week as well. And just a quick shout out, Nina, saying thank you on Instagram. We appreciate you here with us every week. We love it. Again, we try and be the most interactive podcast we can be. Right, I will give us a countdown.
No, where's the journal?
I've started doing it. I have started doing
Where
it.
is it?
We are running out of time.
Up here, but I can't. It's got people's names in it, so I can't show you it. But I am on it. 3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation. Catch you guys later.
So, guys, I want you to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video. I want you to put it in the description below and hashtag it with Inspiration Nation, because it's important that you take something away and work on it so you can get to your next level. Now, so you can catch all our other Inspiration Nation podcast episodes right over here, so go check them out. And also, don't forget to subscribe, because that will tell you when your next video goes live by you hitting that amazing bell. So until next time, it's Inspiration Nation, and I'll see you right over there.